Hello and welcome to Indus News live from Islamabad. I am Muneeb Hamid with the news of this hour. Let's begin with the top stories first. Pakistan is celebrating its 75th Independence Day today, with festivities being held nationwide with social distancing protocols. President Arif Alvi addressed the flag-hoisting ceremony in the capital, Islamabad. He stressed the need to reject all sorts of negative propaganda, saying Pakistan is on the course of rapid development. While in a separate message, Prime Minister Imran Khan urged the nation to uphold values of unity, faith and discipline. In Pakistan, security forces have killed 3 terrorists after they fired at Frontier Corps vehicle in southwestern Balochistan. The military's media wing says soldier Naik Sharif embraced martyrdom in the attack in Lora Lai district. In a statement, the ISPR said 2 other injured FC personnel have been evacuated to a nearby hospital. The US has expressed deep concern over the Taliban's advances in Afghanistan, but said Kabul is not under imminent threat. Pentagon statement comes as the US troops arrive in the war-torn country to help diplomatic staff and others leave. Many countries are evacuating workers and citizens amid Taliban's gains, who now control almost half of Afghanistan's 34 provincial capitals. The US has imposed sanctions on an alleged oil smuggler and companies for supporting Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. In a statement, the Treasury Department said the targeted individual is an Omani businessman who facilitated shipments of Iranian oil. The measures come as talks to revive the nuclear deal between Iran and world powers have stalled. Brazil has reported more than 900 daily deaths from COVID-19 and almost 34,000 cases. In Pakistan, 73 people have died, while nearly 4,800 tested positive in the past 24 hours. Globally, the virus has claimed more than 4.3 million lives and infected over 206 million people so far. And these were top stories. News in detail after a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now let's have the news in detail. Start from Pakistan, which is celebrating its 75th Independence Day today, with festivities being held nationwide with social distancing protocols. President Arif Alvi addressed the flag-hoisting ceremony in the capital, Islamabad. He stressed the need to reject all sorts of negative propaganda, saying Pakistan is on the course of rapid development. Alvi pointed out that Pakistan successfully tackled the menace of terrorism. While in a separate message, Prime Minister Imran Khan urged the nation to uphold values of unity, faith and discipline. Imran Khan added Pakistan will continue to support Kashmiris in their right to self-determination. Earlier, a change of guard ceremony was held at the Mazar-e-Qaid in Karachi. Special guest commandant of Pakistan Naval Academy, Commodore Sohail Ahmed Azmi, laid a wreath and offered prayers. Later today, President will announce Pakistan Civil Awards on 126 people for showing excellence in their respective fields. Also in Pakistan, security forces have killed 3 terrorists after they fired at Frontier Corps vehicle in southwestern Balochistan. The military's media wing says soldier Naik Sharif embraced martyrdom in the attack in Lora Lai district. In a statement, the ISPR said 2 others injured FC personnel have been taken to a nearby hospital. It comes a day after the security forces killed 1 terrorist and apprehended another in South Waziristan district. And the US has expressed deep concern over the Taliban's advances in Afghanistan, but said Kabul is not under imminent threat. In a press briefing, Pentagon spokesman John Kirby, however, added the group is trying to isolate Kabul. The Taliban now control almost half of Afghanistan's 34 provincial capitals. Amid these gains, many countries are evacuating their workers and citizens. Pentagon spokesperson Kirby called on Afghans to unite, saying that no outcome has to be inevitable. The statement comes as the US troops arrive in the war-torn country to help diplomatic staff and others leave. The US is also moving additional troops to bases in Qatar and Kuwait to speed up visa processing for Afghan translators. Meanwhile, the Taliban spokesperson said the group will not target any embassy or diplomat. Blaming Kabul for violence, Suhail Shaheen said the provinces are falling voluntarily to them. Earlier, the UN said Afghanistan is spinning out of control and called on the Taliban to immediately halt attacks. Moving on now, the US has imposed sanctions on an alleged oil smuggler and companies for supporting Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. In a statement, the Treasury Department said the Omani businessman facilitated shipments of Iranian oil. It said the designation targets a network of businesses based in Oman, Liberia and Romania. The US Secretary of State Antony Blinken said the Quds force used revenues from oil sales to fund malign activities. The action freezes any US assets of those blacklisted and generally bars Americans from dealing with them. The measures come as talks to revive the nuclear deal between Iran and world powers are stalled. Now, Brazil has reported more than 900 daily deaths from COVID-19 and almost 34,000 cases. Globally, the virus has claimed more than 4.3 million lives and infected over 206 million people so far. More details about the pandemic in this report. The resurgence of the COVID-19 outbreaks due to the Delta variant has dragged nations back into the sweeping restrictions. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security warned of a heightened domestic threat from extremists motivated by new COVID-19 curves. U.S. medical workers blame the resurge on the authorities' moves to politicize the pandemic as they suffer extreme burnout due to a rise in hospitalizations.
We're battling the misinformation and we're battling each other when we should be fighting together against the virus. The virus should be the problem. Now it seems that the willingness to get vaccinated segregates with how you vote, and that's something I just don't understand.
The Canadian government has announced to mandate all federal workers to get vaccinated amid a surge due to the Delta variant. This comes as the head of the Oxford Vaccine Group lambasted the wealthy countries over booster shots. He said many more people will die if Western political leaders prioritize booster jabs for their own populations instead of sharing doses. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization says it is setting up a new group to trace the virus origins. It said the move seeks to end what it called political point scoring that had hampered investigations.
We are proposing to member states to discuss with us and with the scientific community the next steps. And as we always say, all hypotheses are on the table. We need to understand it's difficult. It's a difficult process. It will take time, and the scientists need to have the space to be able to work in a quiet manner without political pressure or political debate. This is a scientific work.
In the United Kingdom, authorities said the estimated range for COVID-19 reproduction R number could be below 1, suggesting cases may no longer be growing exponentially. However, the situation remains grim in Southeast Asia. The Philippines' already stretched healthcare system is under more strain as the country reports the second largest daily increase in infections, while in Japan, COVID-19 cases keep rising, defying attempts to contain the spread of the Delta variant. Meanwhile, in Pakistan, coronavirus has claimed 73 more lives overnight. The Health Ministry says the death toll has risen to 24,339. The ministry registered nearly 4,800 infections in the past 24 hours. It said the positivity rate stood at 8%. Pakistan's caseload has exceeded 1,094,000, while over 983,000 people have recovered. The ministry says there are more than 86,000 active cases, out of which over 4,700 are critical. Pakistan's Chairman Joint Chiefs of Staff Committee, General Nadeem Raza, says the country is keen to expand its military-to-military cooperation with Kazakhstan. He said this in a meeting with Kazakh Prime Minister Aksar Momin during an official visit to the country. The military's media wing said the officials discussed measures to enhance the level and scope of military engagements. It added leaders also discussed matters of mutual interest, bilateral cooperation and the Afghan peace process. The Kazakh Prime Minister acknowledged the sacrifices rendered by the Pakistan armed forces in the fight against terrorism. General Raza also met with the Kazakh Defense Minister and Chief of General Staff of Kazakhstan's armed forces. Now, Israeli security forces attacked hundreds of Muslims outside the Ibrahimi Mosque in the occupied West Bank city of Hebron. Palestinian media said soldiers fired tear gas and stun grenades at the worshippers, causing many to suffocate. It said hundreds of Palestinians gathered at the site to protest Israel's construction plans in the holy site. Palestinians see the construction as a way to take over the entire site for Jewish visitors, which is now split into separate Jewish and Muslim areas. Meanwhile, Israeli soldiers injured 39 Palestinians in the Beira town of Nablus city. The forces clamped down on a procession held against the illegal colonialist outposts and the ongoing takeover of Palestinian lands. Israeli soldiers also attacked the weekly demonstration in Kfar Kadum village in Kalkilia city. Now, the U.S. has imposed sanctions on two Cuban Interior Ministry officials over their government's crackdown on protesters last month. In a statement, the Treasury Department said the accused were responsible for suppressing the Cuban people's call for freedom. In July, the White House slapped sanctions on the Cuban police force and two of its leaders. The protests in July erupted amid Cuba's worst economic crisis and a record surge in coronavirus infections. Cuban president blamed the unrest on the U.S., which has tightened its decades-old trade embargo on the island. More news coming up after a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now, the death toll from Turkish floods has risen to 38 as emergency crews search for victims and survivors in the Black Sea region. In a tweet, the Turkish health minister said 32 people died in the Kastamonu province, while 6 in the neighboring Sinop. Floods triggered by torrential rain caused some buildings to collapse, smashed bridges and clogged streets with cars. Nearly 180 villages in 3 provinces are still without electricity. Earlier, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan visited one of the hardest-hit cities and attended a funeral for some of the victims. Speaking in Bozkurt, Erdogan declared the 3 provinces as a disaster zone. U.S. government scientists have confirmed that July was the world's hottest month ever recorded. They say last month's global land and ocean surface temperature was 0.9 degrees Celsius hotter than 20th century's average, beating the record of July 2016. The National Ocean and Atmospheric Administration report says Asia experienced its hottest July on record. Meanwhile, the land surface temperatures in the Northern Hemisphere measured 1.54 degrees Celsius above average. Earlier, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change found that the burning of fossil fuels has unequivocally heated up the planet. It said these high temperatures have not been seen on Earth in around 125,000 years. Now, scientists say an astonishingly well-preserved lion cub found in Russia's Siberian permafrost is 28,000 years old. The dead animal still had its fur, internal organs and skeleton intact. Let's find out more about the unique discovery in this report. The female cub named Sparta was found in Russia's Yakutia region in 2018. A second lion cub called Boris was found the year before. The cubs were discovered 15 meters apart, but are not only from different litters, but were also born thousands of years apart. The scientists say Boris, a male cub, lives around 43,448 years ago.
The find itself is unique. There was no other such find in Yakutia. Although another 3 lion cubs have been found for the last few years. One of them, Boris, was located close to Sparta, and others were found nearby more or less on the same river. Those cubs were 1 or 2 weeks old, very little ones. They were nicknamed Uyan and Dina after the river Uyandina.
The 2 cubs, aged around 1 to 2 months, were found by mammoth tusk collectors. Meanwhile, 2 other lion cubs named Yuan and Dina have also been discovered in the region in recent years. Cave lions have been extinct for thousands of years.
It complements the chain of discoveries because if you talk about Uyan and Dina, their age was 1 or 2 weeks old. But Sparta and Boris were different ages, a month or 2, or probably less. Something like this. I think Boris is older because it has lighter wool comparing with Sparta.
Similar finds in Russia's vast Siberian region have happened with increasing regularity. Climate change is warming the Arctic at a faster pace than the rest of the world and has thawed the ground in some areas long locked in permafrost. Now, Pakistan says the International Monetary Fund has promised $2.77 billion to the country. State Bank of Pakistan's Governor Raza Bakir said the country's economy is moving in the right direction. In a press briefing, Bakir welcomed the announcement of funds from the IMF for boosting the global economy. He added these funds will lift Pakistan's foreign reserves to an all-time high. The governor said that Pakistan's GDP is projected to grow over 4% this fiscal year. And now for the latest weather updates, we have Raja Sarosh with us.
Thank you. We're going to have a look at the weather situation around the world, starting with Abu Dhabi, where weather is expected to be extremely hot with temperatures rising to 41 degrees centigrade. While in Amsterdam, temperatures are at 22 degrees centigrade with few clouds rolling in the sky. If we head to Ankara, there is a clear weather with temperatures at 28 degrees centigrade. Moving down under to Auckland, the temperature is chilly at 15 degrees centigrade with thin layer of clouds covering the sky. Now, if you're traveling to Bangkok, there will be an expected thunderstorm with temperatures around 31 degrees centigrade. In Beijing, temperatures are at 28 degrees centigrade with clouds completely veiling the sun. While in Beirut, you will experience sunny weather with temperatures at 33 degrees centigrade. Berliners will experience temperatures at 27 degrees centigrade under partly cloudy sky. Heading to Cairo, the hot sun will be out with temperatures at 38 degrees centigrade. And down under in Canberra, the temperatures are at 15 degrees centigrade with clear sunny weather. In Islamabad, the temperatures are at 32 degrees centigrade accompanied by afternoon thunderstorm. While in Jakarta, the temperatures are steady at 32 degrees centigrade, but you will also experience thunderstorms in the forecast. That's all for now. Back to you.
Thanks, Sarosh, for the weather updates. And with that, we come to the end of this news bulletin. For the latest updates, you can follow us on social media at Indus.News.